Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. During the declared emergency, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. My name is Isaac Lalouz and I'll be chairing this hearing. Panel members participating this afternoon via WebEx and can be seen and heard are Ms. Sankar, Mr. Kidd, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Khan. With us this afternoon, City staff will be assisting us throughout the meeting, including moderating the WebEx platform, and with us is Dan Antonacci, who is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Jenny Costa, and Adam Wells. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentation to the committee using the said WebEx. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. These participants will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, a tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered speaker will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. For those waiting to speak, please make sure you call with the telephone number you originally registered with. Calling with a different number, you will not be able to speak on the item. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the zoning bylaw, permission to extend or alter legal non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of an application must send a request by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto local appeal body known as TLAB or in some limited circumstances to the local planning appeal tribunal known as LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure this afternoon will be as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if they desire. When the committee does not require presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions or take the matter directly for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when the 5-minute mark is reached. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make the presentation. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised, to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to receive a notice are informed of the changes. Then individuals in support or in opposition will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker at the end of their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has the chance to address only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion and the application will be taken to committee for a decision. Now we have this afternoon, for this afternoon only, any declaration of interest, any conflict of interest to declare? No, thank you. There is no files to close, and we have a number of deferral requests that we're going to entertain. So the first one is application number 32, which is application 32, which is 466 FAIRLAWN Avenue, application 32. We have here the agent and 1, 2, 3, and 3 more speakers from the area. So, Mr. Jonathan Wiesel, are you there?
I am, yes.
Jonathan Wiesel. Okay, could you please state your name and address?
Jonathan Wiesel,
Wiesel.
36 Janesville Road, Thornhill, Ontario.
Thank you. You're asking for a deferral. Could you please tell us why?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm not asking for a deferral. I think maybe the neighbors are asking. I'm not asking for a deferral.
Oh, you're not asking for deferral. Okay.
No.
That's what we had here. Application requested deferral. So, application number 32.
What item we are talking about? 32?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Not yet, please. No, there was okay. So we'll just yeah, I had it on my thing here. So number 32, which is 32 FAIRLAWN. You're not asking for deferral. Okay. Number 34, which is 93 HANNA Road, and we have here 34. We have here 1, the agent, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more speakers. And the agent here, I have here written Shadi Arani.
Yes.
You're there.
I'm here.
Could you please state your name and address?
My name is Shadi Arani from 12 Lauderdale regarding 93 HANNA Road. We did not request a deferral, and we spoke to the neighbors, so we'll be dropping 2 of the items that the neighbors are not happy about. Okay. But we would like to continue with the hearing if possible.
I don't know. I had a request. Yeah, 34. That's what. Yeah, I have 36 as well. Yeah? Okay, so 34 is not. 36, which is 9 CICADA Courts. We have here $36. Okay, 36. We have the Mr. John Goulding. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay, so you did request a deferral?
Yes.
Okay, so we have it here, 36. Okay, applicant deferrals. Okay, you requested for a deferral and you stated that you want it on July the 8th. As you know, this committee cannot entertain the date. You'll have to check with the staff. They have the thing on it. We just, if we defer it Sanida, which means you'll have to go back to the staff and you work with them as to what date you will come back. Are you okay with that kind of deferral request?
Mr. Chair, could I just provide you some information for clarification on that? I have been in contact with staff, and their instructions were for me to request the deferral so that a corrected notice of hearing could go out, which they have already drafted and it's probably gone out yesterday or today, and that they are already coordinating with me for a spot on the next available agenda. So
Okay,
the
well,
request,
I have to hear from the staff because we cannot prescribe it. Is that okay, Mr.?
Mr. Chair, if you deferred signing that, we can deal with it. Staff will contact him and come up with a date.
I'm sorry?
If you deferred signing that, we can deal with the applicant on our own.
Exactly, that was, okay. Very good.
Mr. Chairman, so what I'm trying to say is that I have already
Mr.
conferred with
Goulding,
staff.
Mr. Goulding, we're going to deal with the application for deferral, and then you can contact the case manager and you can work the date with her.
Yeah.
If July 8th is what she said, then contact her and we'll work with that date.
Okay, so they will work on that date, but we cannot prescribe it. Our committee will make it sunny day, even though it's coming on July the 8th. Okay, so now could you just tell us the reason why you're asking for the deferral?
I didn't mean to talk over you. There's a lag here. Yes, under those, as we've just discussed, I'm happy to request a deferral sine die, and I'll coordinate the details for reassignment with staff.
Okay, and you still didn't say the reason. Is that the reason because there's a new zoning?
The reason is that the original zoning notice that this hearing was based on had an error in it, and that the zoning examiner has corrected that and issued a new zoning notice, which is being used for the new hearing mailing.
Okay, so we have here one more speaker. Let's see if they're online. Matthew Fala, is he online? Yeah. Matthew Fala, are you there?
Hi there.
Mr. Fala, are you there?
Yes,
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
sure. I'm Matthew Fowler. I'm from 7 CICADA.
Thank you. Now you heard here the request is to defer the application, and when it comes back, then you can come back and talk about it because we're not going to discuss it today. Did you have any problem?
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
You're okay?
No, I don't have any problem. I'm
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so members, we have a request for a deferral in order to address the zoning question. Do you have a question or I need a motion? Yeah, Mr. Hunt. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the request of the applicant, I would move to defer this application sine die in order for them to revise the notice of hearing.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Kitt, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Sir, your application is deferred sine die in order to address the zoning question, okay? 36. I think he left already. Now, I have another one here, another request here. I don't know if it's legit. Application number 42, which is 187 Row Avenue. Row Avenue. Is he online? 42, eh? Okay, we have just one speaker here, and that is Eugia. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, the deferral request is actually for item number 44.
I have also 42 in my list here.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll do 42
I
then.
have 42 and 44. So, Mr. Yu, are you there?
Yes. Hi, good
Oh.
afternoon.
Miss, okay, sorry. Do you, did you ask for a deferral?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Could you please tell us the reason? First of all, your name and your address, please.
My name is Yu Hu, and I'm the agent for 187 Row Avenue.
Thank you. And what's the reason for the deferral?
because we would like to, we've been taking a look at the neighborhood's objection letter, and we would actually would like to work with them and shrink the size of our proposal to
Okay,
to improve our drawings.
to discuss with neighbors. Thank you. And I have no more people here registered. So members, any question or motion that she wants to defer in order to discuss with the neighbors? Question?
No
or
question.
Yeah, Mr. Kidd.
I'd like to put forward a motion, if I could, Mr. Chair. Put forward a motion to defer the application signing die to allow the applicant to meet with the neighbors to discuss their application.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Okay, so Ms. Yu, your application is deferred sine die, okay?
Thank you.
Now it's 44. 44, which is 247 Parkview Avenue, application number 44. And then we have here two parties registered. One is the Morteza Davari or Sean Chang. I have two people registered under the agent. Could you please tell me who's online?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, I'm here.
And what's your name?
My name is Morteza Davari.
Okay, can you please tell us your address as well?
Sure, 3080 Young Street.
Okay, and you're going to be dealing with this application. And who's Sean Chang?
He's the agent as well, like me.
Oh, so you're
both agents
you're
of this
both
project.
agents. Okay, so
Yes.
you're asking for a deferral. Could you please tell us what's the reason for the deferral?
Oh, the reason is the homeowner has asked us to request a deferral. So we didn't have any issue with the zoning report or on anything else. Just the homeowners asked us to request for a referral.
He's just asking. You don't have the reason, just asking.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see what the members are saying. Any question to this gentleman or motion? He's asking for deferral. The owner asked him to.
Okay,
Ms. Sankar?
through you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to defer this application and to give the agent a chance to work through matters on this application with the owner. Thank you. Sine die.
Sine die. Very good. Okay. Second, Mr. Kidd, all in favor? Sorry, Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Okay. All right. Your application is deferred, so you can address the concern of the owner. Okay.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Uh, 44. Application number 23, which is 467 Millwood Road, application number 23. Here we have 23.
What number is that, Mr. Chairman?
23. 23,
Thank you.
which is 467 Millwood, application 23. And here we have just one person registered, who's the agent, I believe, and that's Matthew Fratarcangeli. Are you there, please?
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Yes, this is Matthew.
Could you please speak up? We don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. So.
Yes, this is the agent, Matthew Fratarcangeli.
And could you please tell us your address?
Yes, the address is 467 Millwood Road.
Yeah, that's the, okay, all right. So that's 23 we have here. It's a new rear yard structure. 2 variances, and you indicated to staff that you're going to eliminate variance number 2 regarding the landscaping. Are you?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so just give us a very brief, just a second. Yeah, just a brief presentation. Tell us what you were doing, and you want to stay with one variance only, right?
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chairman. We will be meeting the softscape requirement. This application is for a rear yard accessory structure for the owner and their family to enjoy the garden space. They would like to have kind of a quasi outdoor indoor living space where they can kind of have a sheltered living room set up for them to enjoy their backyard a little bit more.
Okay.
There's also some storage incorporated to this garden shed.
Thank you. Members, any question or motion on this one? He made a short presentation. Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I do believe that this, in my review, meets the 4 tests, and with the elimination of variance number 2, I think this is a pretty straightforward application. So I'll motion to approve this application, and I will, this is with the elimination of variance number 2 as per the agent's request, and that's my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Khan, all in favor? Okay, your application is approved based on the number 2 being eliminated.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members.
Thank you. Application number 24, which is Willowdale Avenue. Application number 24. And here again, we have just one person. Shenshu Jiang, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Please repeat your name and address for the records here.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Shenshu Zhang. Address is 98 Scarsdale Road, North York.
Okay, so this is to build a new dwelling. We have the staff report asking for permeable materials for driveway, and there is for forestry. That's it. Members, do we?
Yes, that we agreed with the staff.
Yeah, just a second, please. Members, do we need the presentation? Could you please remove that one? Thank you. Okay, members, no? Okay, all right, sir, we don't, the members do not need the presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to the decision?
No.
No? Okay, any question for members? If not, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I think this is another straightforward application on its own. I will motion to approve this application as I believe it does meet the 4 tests, and I will make it subject to the June 1st staff report in that the proposed driveway be constructed with permeable materials and subject to forestry. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is approved unanimously, subject to the staff condition and the forestry.
Thank you.
Item number 25, which is 172 Brookdale Avenue, application number 25. Here we have just one agent, just one speaker who is the agent. Mr. Drew Laszlo, are you there?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Can you please repeat your name and address? We need it for every file on the record.
Sure. I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner. Address is 3317 Young Street.
Okay. So here, this is to build a new dwelling, 9 variances. Staff report has just a condition, east and west elevation. Transportation is asking for deferral until front yard parking permit is obtained. And you have 10 letters of support. Could you please tell us, make a short presentation, tell us what's all about? and how does it fit the way we have it presented here?
Sure. I guess just I'll start by focusing on the, and I'm not sure if this is what you were asking for, but I guess at this point, just want to focus on the transportation memorandum that was sent out. And I was just made aware of this late on Friday. I have been dealing back and forth with Long Pham. He is the head honcho supervisor of the transportation department. And we have worked out a deal, as far as I'm concerned, in the 11th hour. Now, I just gave it to staff yesterday to post, so I know it's past the deadline, but it is there. It's an email from Long Pham. And it says, so I proposed a new site plan, and I proposed changing 2 variances, which I will speak of momentarily. And he says, quote, "I will have no issue with this proposal." Okay, and that's based on these 2 changes, variances number 7, having to do with the size of the front yard parking space. That the width, instead of 2.18 meters, will go to 2.2 meters. So that's one of the changes. And the other change has to do with variance number 8, having to do with the length of the proposed parking space. And that used to be 3.45. Now it is being increased to 5.3 meters. So now the proposed parking space on the front of the property is just slightly undersized.
In the staff report, they did mention number 7, number 8. They also mentioned number 5.
Yes, number 5 is just the variance that actually allows us to park on the front of the property, in the front yard.
Okay, yeah, just for curiosity, I couldn't understand this. Generally, you have a license to park in the front and in the current house. And the reason they say it is because you need the license for the new house. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So,
But what, I'm sorry for interrupting, but what happens is if committee grants these 2 variances, we will be able to park fully on private property.
okay.
So we will no longer need a front yard parking license.
Very good. Okay, so let's see what the members are saying. Any question? No? Can I have a motion then? With those changes, number 7 changed to 2.2 and number 8 changed to 5.3 meter. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the proposal as amended meets the purpose of the zoning bylaws, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application with the following revisions. Variance number 7, the proposed parking space will have a width of change from 2.18 to 2.2 meters. And variance number 8, the proposed parking space will have a length change from 3.45 meters to 5.3 meters. And also subject to the condition set out in planning staff report dated June 4th, that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the east and west side elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment and attached as attachments 1 and 2 to the planning staff report.
Thank you. It said east, west, and rear elevation. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Second. Okay, Mr. Hunt, second. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan is opposing. Okay, Mr. Laszlo, your application is approved based on the changes you made and based on the staff report conditions, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Application number 26, which is 69 Brookdale Avenue, application number 26. And here we have just one person registered who's the agent. That's Sanaz Nouri. Are you there?
Hi, yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Okay, can you please state for us your name and the address and your address?
My name is Sanaz Nouri, and the address is 24 Norma Drive, Thornhill, Ontario.
Thank you. Here we have, this is a new dwelling, 7 variances. Staff report is just a condition for east-west and rear elevation, forestry condition, and 1 letter of objection, which I don't have it here yet. So could you please give us a very short presentation, very short, as far as you're entitled to 5 minutes anyways. So give us a short presentation, and if you know anything about the objection on the street.
Sure. This proposal is to demolish the existing and construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling. And what you have in front of you is pretty straightforward application with 7 variances that are minor and in keeping with the neighborhood. That's true. We have 1 letter of objection from the rear neighboring property on the south side, whose concern is that the proposed building would come very close to his rear yard. However, we are only applying for 7 centimeters of length variance, complying with bylaw requirements regarding the rear yard setback. The proposed building is almost aligned in the front and rear with the neighboring newly built. And as you can see on the table provided as a supporting material on the screen, the proposed FSI is within the range of the previously approved FSI variances in the area. The application presented just before us, just before this one, on the same street is also a good example. The sidewall height variances are only applying to a small front portion of the side elevations. And we have reviewed the staff report and their comments regarding the side elevations. And I have no problem with the staff recommendations. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any question from the members? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question to Ms. Nouri is about variance number 2. Your FSI is 0.818, while the allowable is 0.6. Why should I allow you that high a FSI when in the vicinity is not allowable?
Well, as I mentioned, this proposed FSI is within the range of previously approved FSI variances. As you saw on the table that I provided with the supporting materials, there have been properties in the vicinity that had 0.849 even, which is pretty much higher than what we are asking for. And it is quite in keeping with the neighborhood, as you can see on the table. I'd be happy to answer any other question.
Thank you. Any other question? Mr. Hunt, I see your hand, yeah? Mr. Hunt, no, we're just scratching. Okay, any other question? Yes? No, okay. So if there is no more question, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Upon review of this application, I believe that to me it's straightforward as well. And I'm going to make a motion to approve this application and make it subject to the June 4th staff report that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the east and west side elevation drawings that were submitted to committee, and forestry would apply.
Thank you. Second? Yeah, Mr. Kate, second. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, your application unanimously approved, subject to the condition mentioned by staff, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, number 27, which is WANLESS CRESCENT, application number 27. We have just one person registered who's the agent. And that's it. Oh, that's the same one. Sanaz Nouri?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Okay, you're the same agent here. We have this one here is for, I guess we don't have to repeat her name. She just mentioned it. This is one-story addition to the rear, one variance. That's it. We have nothing else beside this. Could you please give me the members there? I don't see them. Okay, so we have just variance. No, there's nothing else. Do we need a presentation? No.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask the applicant just to speak to just very short, like a minute, just to say, talk about this floor space index.
Okay, Ms. Nouri, we have
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have one variance here, the FSI, and we need a small presentation. As you heard, just a small presentation, just briefly to tell us what's all about. Okay.
Sure. This proposal is to construct a one-story addition to the rear of an existing building with only one minor variance. The existing two-story building has a non-conforming FSI of 0.45, and the proposed added FSI is only 0.038. Which is about 21 square meters. This added area will only serve as a sunroom to allow more natural light into the living space of the owners. And the proposed 0.493 FSI, it falls within the range of 0.45 and 0.55 FSI that already exists in the neighborhood, either COA approved and existing. And also this added area will not impose any extra variances such as length or depth under the zoning bylaws. So, we believe it's a minor and in keeping with the neighborhood. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions?
Thank you. Any other question? Ms. Sankar?
No, I'm just ready for a motion, Mr. Chair.
Please.
I accept the application, the explanations provided today by the agent, and I do believe it's in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and it's a combination of existing floor space index already there. So I'll motion to approve this application as is.
Yeah, no conditions. Second, Mr. Hunt?
Yeah.
All in favor? Okay, unanimous. So again, unanimously approved for number 27.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Number 28, which is 475 Sudan Avenue, application number 28. Here we have the agent, and we have one more person, David Page. Is he the owner?
Correct, Mr. Chair. David Page is the owner.
He's on too. Okay. All right. Mr. Saruji Kalustian, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you please state your name and address for the records here?
My name is Sarush Kalustian, and my address is 1808 Avenue Road, North York.
Thank you. Now we have here registered on the same place here, David Page. Who's going to speak, you or him?
I'll be speaking.
You'll be talking. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So we have here, this is a is to build a rear two-story addition and a new third story, front porch and canopy extension, eight variances. Staff has two conditions. One condition is to build in accordance with west-east elevation drawings, and then there is modify three variances. Are you you mentioned that you want to change these three variances. Could you please go over them and see if you can give us the number of the variance and the change exactly? I have them here, but you have to state them.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So when we made the application, planning staff reached out to us. They had concerns with variance number 1, variance number 2, and variance number 8. Variance number 1 and 8 are just the same thing from the different bylaws, but essentially it's the overall height they want it reduced. And variance number 2 was in regards to the side dormer, which was resulting in a high wall height variance. So they've asked us to reduce that as well. We made those changes, sent it back to planning staff, and they've uploaded those elevations, as you can see in their report.
Again, ask you, could you please give me the number? I have them here, but I need you to state it. Give us exactly the change you made for number 1, number 8, and number 2. What you're changing number
sure,
1?
no problem.
Yeah, give us the number and the
Number,
change.
yeah, number 1, we've reduced it from 10.03 meters to 9.58 meters.
Right. Okay.
Number 2, we've reduced it from 9.88 meters to 8.89 meters.
Correct.
And number
8.
We've reduced from 10.43 to 9.98 meters.
Very good. That's exactly what we have here. Okay. So keep going. Do you want to make any short presentation? Tell us what's your the merit of this application with those changes, and then we move to committee.
Sure. I mean, I think the variances are pretty clear. I do want to notify that the rest of the variances are as a result of the existing setbacks of the house. For example, we've continued the same setback for the addition in the back, and that's resulted in these variances. Most of them are due to the existing conditions.
That's it.
But I think if the variances are pretty clear, I think I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee might have.
Okay, thank you. Any question? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. My question is related to variance number 5. If I may draw your attention, your eaves are on the west lot lines are 0, while you are required 0.30. How do you justify you are not encroaching on the other side?
Well, the thing is, we've the existing house setback, which is, I believe, 0.29. Their eave is coming at 0 to the property line, and that's the existing house. So we've technically just continued that for the addition portion in the back as well, which ends up being 0.
And there is no encroachment.
Sorry? No encroachment, no.
Thank you.
Any other question? I don't see the rest of the members. Mr. Kidd is not there. Huh? Any other question? Yeah, Mr. Hunt, please. No question. Okay, are you ready for a motion? Mr. Hunt, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe that the application as amended is consistent with the neighborhood and meets the 4 tests. And so I will move approval of this subject to the June 4th planning staff report that outlined the changes in the, or no, not the planning report, the changes by the applicant.
Right.
Variance number 1 to the proposed building height, reducing from 10.03 meters to 9.58 meters. Variance number 2, the proposed main sidewall reduced from 9.88 to 8.89, and variance number 8 on the allowable building height, reduction from 10.43 to 9.98. And with that, the condition from planning that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the revised west and east elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you. Perfect. And second, Mr. Kid, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, sir, your application is unanimously approved based on those changes and the staff condition.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 29, which is 3 CLYDE Avenue, application number 29. This is, we have here the agent and a few more speakers. David Bronskill, are you online?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon. Can you please tell us your name and your address?
Yes, sir. It's David Bronskill, B-R-O-N-S-K-I-L-L, solicitor at Goodman's LLP, 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400, Toronto, Ontario, here as agent for the applicant.
Thank you. We have a few more speakers here, and we had 4 letters of objection. And could you please give us a presentation and tell us the merit of your application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd be happy to. And I would note at the outset the staff report with the requested conditions. Those are conditions with which we agree. And so we would ask that if there is any motion to approve at the discretion of the committee, that it include those conditions. They're important, I think, to implement what is being proposed by our client. It's a new 2-story dwelling, and the site plan that's included in the package of materials that we sent to you in through the architects, thank you to staff for showing you that, is probably a very good place to start for the committee. As we've shown you, I think, on these many times before, the red dashed line that's on that context plan or site context plan represents essentially the as-of-right building envelope. And you can see that by and large, the proposed new dwelling is meeting that dashed red line. 2 exceptions on the south side, we're at a 0.93 meter setback, so it's a foot closer. And at the east or at the rear, whereas the extension portion is shown in that dash red line, we're a little bit longer and a little bit further south for that small projection out the back. I can tell you that the house measured from the front wall to the back of that is actually 17.2 meters, excluding the bay window. The length and depth variance is actually because of the underground excavation that's in the rear and in the front. That excavation part, as this committee well knows, is then counted in the length of the dwelling, which is why it's requested at 27.57 meters. That's why the condition of planning about constructing substantially in accordance with the plans is something that's important, because it would keep the house at the 17.2 meter length. In terms of the coverage, as noted by planning staff, the coverage of the house, excluding the excavated deck, is actually 33.59%, but the excavation under the deck means that is counted as coverage, which leads to the 37.67%. And again, staff are proposing 2 reasonable conditions that would ensure that the coverage of the actual main dwelling is at 33.59%. We did have an opportunity to review some of the letters, and obviously I'll respond to the concerns that may be raised. I would simply note 2 things. One, the dwelling at 17.2 meters is frankly the length of dwelling that one would expect to see here, and is basically an as-of-right dwelling. Secondly, there seem to be some concerns about the bay window on the south side, but that's actually a permitted side bay projection. We showed that on the site context plan within the dashed red line. And so thank you for showing that there on that 3D model staff. There seemed to be some concern about that in the letters and correspondence, but that's actually a permission as of right. There's no variances associated with that side bay window. And so it's actually a permitted projection. And we've also, for the committee, because there seem to be some concerns about going from 1.2 to 0.93, we've included in the package, frankly, a significant number of approvals in the area for reductions to the side yard setbacks. Those reductions are, frankly, much more significant than our client is seeking, often on both sides. And in this terms of a side to rear, there are examples of side yards at 0.93 next to rear yards in the neighborhood. In fact, one just has to go slightly east to the approval on Gray Road, which had almost identical setbacks at 1.2 and 0.92 meters. And I can advise the committee that that approval had the 0.92 meter side yard setback next to the rear yards that were to the south. So overall, to the committee, we think this is a house that frankly is almost in keeping with many of the as of right permissions for the actual structure of the house, and many of the variances being sought, frankly, then just relate to the underground excavation components of it. Of course, I'm happy to ask any questions the committee may have, and we'll listen to those who are to speak and respond at the appropriate time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Just to be clear.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, you mentioned the staff condition, which is
Yes.
37, then you repeat it at the end, 33. The staff condition reads exactly 37.8 to include 4.2% of the rear extension deck, rear excavation desk. You're okay with that?
I'm just, sir, making sure I have it open in front of me. Sorry, let me just, sorry, sir, let me just flip over to it. I've got it there. Apologies. Sorry, go again, sir.
It said the limit, to limit the coverage to 37.8 to include 4.2% of the rear excavation deck.
Yes, sir. We're okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt. We're okay with that condition as well, please.
Okay. Okay. Just because at the end you mentioned 33, so there may be confusion. All right. So
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
We have. We're going to bring back the agent in case there are any questions. In the meantime, we have here 3 agents. Mr. Moderator, are they here, 3 of them?
2 of the 3 are present on the call.
Okay, Uni. Okay, Betsy Clog. Betsy Clog, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you please state your name and address?
My name is Betsy Klug, and my address is 496 Old Orchard Grove.
Okay. And who's Uni Fushman? Is he with you?
That's my husband. He is, but he's
Okay.
presently taking care of the
Okay.
little ones, so you just have me.
Okay. So who wants to speak? You or your husband?
No, I'll be speaking today.
You'll be talking. Okay. So please go ahead. Tell us what's your concern about this application. You heard the agent.
So we filed extensive objection material that's been uploaded to your system. The 2 primary concerns that we have regarding the new build. The first one is the south setback and how it impacts our property. I appreciate what council has said regarding the permitted projection of the bay window. However, the depth of the bay window is being considered on top of the south side setback variance that's being requested. So the whole side of that property of the home is going to be set further back towards our backyard. I'm not sure if you're able to upload the submission and the supporting documents that we provided. But on page 3 of the submission that we provided, if I can direct everybody to it, I'm not sure if I'm not able to do it on my end. I apologize.
We're looking to bring it up on the screen here. But if you could continue, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. You can see where that bay window is going to sit in relation to our backyard, and where how the whole side of the home is going to sit in relation to our backyard. Our concerns are listed in our submission and outline safety concerns if there's a fire and the proximity to our home. Also, how it's going to impact the trees that are planted. Those are new trees. We've only been in our house for a year and a half. We have taken measures to mitigate any privacy issues for the existing home or any future potential home. And we planted these trees. What we're very concerned about also is how any runoff, ice, rain, water, whatever, from the new home is going to fall and crush our trees that we've planted for privacy for both ourselves and the neighboring home.
Yeah, madam, we don't deal with the runoffs here. They'll have to get a special permission once they get the permits. They'll have to prove that there is the water runoff. Okay, but we don't deal with it here. The same thing with the trees. There is a forestry who deals with the trees. So
that's fine.
Okay, so your objection so far is the setbacks. What else?
The setback is our issue also for an additional reason, just the general enjoyment, use, and privacy of our home. The way that they want to position that bump out, that apparently permitted bay window, in addition to the minor variance setback request, it's going to essentially create an overlook, an overhang into our backyard of our home. It's going to interfere with our master bedroom, our kitchen, our backyard when we're there with our children. So if that minor setback variance is granted for the south yard setback, that bay window is going to hover basically over our entire backyard and the entire back of our home.
Okay, so we'll get the agent to speak on that. In the meantime, members, is there any question for the speaker? No? Okay, so we get to the next speaker, INEZ Watankaggadin.
Yes, this is INEZ Watankaggadin from 492 Old Orchard Grove.
Thank you. So please tell us what's your concern about this application.
Sure. First concern is that like the numbers, like the lot coverage extension and everything does not sound very minor to us. Like from 30 to 37.8, that's about like 25% increase. And what they ask for in terms of increasing at the like the length that comes like a back trace, the rear trace and breakfast area and everything. Any extra that they come into it is gonna kind of block our view and it's gonna come into the cost of our privacy at our backyard where we sit and like enjoy and relax, going out of the like trying to escape the city and like going to enjoy the backyard with all the trees and everything. And our second concern was the trees that are like in between the two properties. There are a lot of intertwined maple trees there at both sides, which is hard to separate them, and I'm not sure what's going to happen to them. They're mature trees, and with the extent of what they're asking for, they're probably going to get hurt, or not sure how they're going to, there was no mention of how they're going to deal with that, or in terms of fencing or protecting, or what's going to happen there.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt you, but as I mentioned before, the trees, there is forestry who deals with the trees, and they have to report to forestries whether they can remove a tree or they don't. So we don't deal with it here. All we have, we make a condition, and they have a condition here. So they have to deal with forestry. So
okay, I understand.
Thank you. Any question for this speaker? All right. We'll get the agent to answer those questions, okay?
Mr. Chair and members, the final area residents, Susan and Alan Page, are not present on the call.
They're not here. Okay. All right. Mr. Bronscale, could you please come back and respond to those concerns? 1, 2, 3 concerns who spoke before, the 3 speakers. Mr. Bronscale, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir. Am I coming through okay for you?
Yeah, perfect. So please.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of the numbers, Mr. Chair, as the second speaker, I won't belabor the point, but I'd be happy to either have me or my client's architect speak with her after the hearing at her convenience to explain the impact of the excavation under the front driveway and the rear deck, if that would be helpful for her. As I noted in my submissions, what is the covered deck is the 4.08% that staff are limiting. So we can't use 4.0% of the coverage for the house. We can only use 33.59% for the house above grade. So while there's a 37.67%, 4.08% of that is underground because of the excavation under the deck. And again, that also applies to the length of dwelling. As I indicated, Mr. Chair, my submissions to you earlier, the actual physical length of the two-story portion of the house, excluding the bay windows, is 17.21 meters. What I would also just say, sir, in terms of, and if I could beg staff's indulgence to put the site context plan back up again, just to deal with both the side window and the concern about the trees. With trees, as you noted, there is a memo from urban forestry staff. They are not indicating a request for refusal or denial, but they're requesting condition. I think one, submission of a complete application for a permit to injure. So we're obviously happy to live with that condition and work with urban forestry on any tree issues. I would simply note that there are some trees that are on the neighbors' properties, and those trees are their trees. We cannot, in fact, file an application to remove or injure those trees without their consent. And so we will have to be very careful with any trees that they have planted on their property. In terms of, if I could just ask staff to maybe, if they could on that site plan, zoom in on the permitted side bay window. I just, sorry, on the site plan, if that would be all right to staff. Thank you. I wanted just to say to the first speaker, it's actually not closer than the bylaw permits. So the 1 foot does move the wall of the house 1 foot closer, but the permitted side bay window is not actually any closer than permitted by the bylaw in terms of its projections. And you can see that there in the dash red line. That's why we did it. It's not quite as long as permitted by the bylaw, although close, I acknowledge that, but it's not any closer than permitted by the bylaw. So even though the house has moved a foot closer, the southern extent of the permitted side bay window has not. It's exactly where one would expect it to be under the bylaw. So it's an impact that would deem to be frankly acceptable because it's in the bylaw. And as the committee knows, under policy 4.1.8 of the official plan, the numeric standards that are in the zoning bylaw indicate compatible relationships between properties. So, Mr. Chair, that's all I intended to say in response, but obviously I'm happy to take any questions that the committee may have.
Okay, just to eliminate some confusions, it is a small thing, but the numbers seem to be a little bit different. The staff limit and the variance, which is in front of me, it said 37.8, and that to include the deck, which is 4.2%, because you mentioned different numbers. Are you okay with this?
We are, sir. They seem to be slightly greater than the stats I have on our plan, so I do think it ultimately works out in the end. I think the house stays at 33.59, so we are happy to accept the staff condition.
Okay, because I have the variance in front of me. It said 37.8%. That's what you're asking for.
Yes.
And that's what.
Yes. No, I have that too. I have that too, sir.
Should include 4.2% of the rear deck. Okay, so let's.
Yes,
see,
sir.
Let's see what the members have to say. Any question for these gentlemen? Mr. Mr. Hunt, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the context of the speaker regarding the overlook of the second floor bay window on the backyard, can you tell me what the use of the room that bay window is attached to will be?
Just have to give me a minute, sir, to, my apologies, I just have to call up a plan to be able to answer your question. Just as part of, through you, Mr. Chair, answering that question, I'd also like to, if I could ask staff to go to the elevation on that side too, because I also want to just assure the committee something about the windows that are located on that bay. Just while I'm calling up the plans, Mr. Hunt, for you to answer your question. If staff were able to put up that elevation that was in the package, it would be appreciated. And it was just a side elevation, if you don't mind.
Yeah, there it is.
There. Thank you. That's the one. I also just didn't want to leave the committee with the impression that it's one big window as well. Right there, it is those two windows there on that side projection. So the ground floor, there's two windows there that are into the dining room. And as then one goes up, it's a bedroom on the plan. The way the room has been laid out, the bed would be sitting between those two windows, pushed up against the wall. That's how it's designed. And so in theory, there would be, someone could stand there obviously, but that's also where night tables would be right in front of those windows. So it is a bedroom, but it's certainly not designed to be a primary overlook from that room.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No? Can I have a motion, please?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair, through you, I could make a motion. I wasn't hearing anything for a while. Everyone went silent. So, through the explanations submitted by the agent today and looking over this application and also hearing from the debutantes, honestly, I do believe that staff's report weighs very heavily in my decision for this particular property. So what I will do is make a motion to approve this application and make it subject to the June 4th, 2021 staff report that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan and north side elevation drawings submitted to the committee, and to also stipulate that the overall lot coverage be limited to 37.8%, which includes the excavated area under the rear deck, which represents the 4.2% of the lot area, as was discussed. And this is also subject to forestry, and that's my motion.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Kidd, all in favor? Thank you. Unanimously. Sir, your application is approved unanimously based on those conditions and changes, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Be well, everyone.
Thank you. Application number 30, which is 86 McGillivray Avenue, application number 30. We have here one person registered as agent and another one lately came here. So is the other one, David, something is here?
No, Mr. Chair, the agent that's going to be speaking is Naveed Arbabi on this file.
Oh, he's the agent.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Mr. David Rabani?
No, Mr. Chair, just Naveed.
Eh?
It's Naveed, not David.
Naveed. I don't have it here. I have just David. Oh, Naveed. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Naveed, are you here, please?
Hi, yes, my name is Naveed Arbabi from Banana Arc Design Studio. Address is 2017 Avenue Road, and I'm the authorized agent for this project at 86 McGillivray Road, McGillivray Avenue.
Perfect. Okay. So we have here, this is a new dwelling, 5 variances and forestry condition. I have nothing else beside this. Members, could you please remove that stuff there? I can't see the members. Okay, members, do we need a presentation here? No? Okay. Okay, Mr. Naveed, are you, we don't need any presentation. we can go straight to the committee unless you have something else to say.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, so any question, members, or motion? If there's no question.
No, we can go. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Kidd. Mr. Kidd, you want motion?
Yes, I'd like to put forward a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I believe the application is minor and meets the 4 tests for minor variance. I'd like to move to approve the application subject to forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Second, Mr. Khan, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is unanimously approved.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Application number 31, which is 60 ROANOKE, application 31. 60 ROANOKE. Here we have just one person registered who's the agent. Allah Ramadan, are you there?
Yes, I'm the owner actually.
You're the owner. Okay, it's marked here as agent. Okay, so here we have this second story addition, 1 variance. That's all I have. There's nothing else. Members, do we?
That's right.
Members, do we need a presentation? No? Okay, we can move directly to the committee for decision. Do you have anything to add? No? Sir?
For me, no.
You don't have anything to add. Okay. Any question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Okay, Mr. Khan? Mr. Khan, do you have a question or you want to make a motion?
Mr. Khan, you're muted.
He doesn't speak. Mine is open here. I don't understand.
Am I allowed to make a motion?
Yeah, now we hear you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry about that. Okay, sir, it's a minor variance, and I'm moving it for approval.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is approved unanimously.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, number 32, which is 466 FAIRLAWN Avenue, application number 32. Here we have the agent and few more speakers. The agent here is Jonathan Wiesel. Mr. Wiesel, are you there? Jonathan Wiesel.
Wiesel, yes.
Can you please state your name and address for us?
Jonathan Wiesel, 36 Janesville Road, Thornhill, Ontario.
Thank you. And here we have this new dwelling. You saw the staff report. It has modified variance number 6. As you indicated, you wanted to change variance number 6 and to build in accordance.
That's correct.
Okay, and to build in accordance with site
Staff
plan
report, yes.
allocation. Okay, then we have a condition of the forestry, transportation, no objection, 16 letters of support and 8 letters of objection. So we have 3 more people to speak. In the meantime, if you can give us a presentation, 5-minute presentation, then we can get the other ones on board. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. A number of letters of objection were filed with the committee on June 11th. On Saturday, June 12th, I emailed a response to the planners representing the owners of 464 FAIRLAWN Avenue, and I hand-delivered responses to the neighbors that had submitted letters of objection. In my response, I outlined revisions that we are prepared to make to help mitigate any overviews into the property at 464 FAIRLAWN. The planners representing 464 FAIRLAWN Avenue responded that these revisions were good, but did not satisfy all of their concerns. There have been 5 other applications that were approved by the committee on FAIRLAWN Avenue near the property that received higher coverage variances. 4 of those also received setback variances. All 5 received length variances, including 459 FAIRLAWN that obtained a letter of variance, length of variance of 21 meters. And 4 out of 5 received height variances, and including 2 that received height variances greater than our application. I want to point out to the committee that our length variance request applies only to the first floor. The length of the proposed second floor is 17.66 meters, which is a variance of only 0.66 meters, which is a little over 2 feet. If you look at the survey, I don't know where the staff can put up the survey or the site plan, please.
It's on the way.
Okay. I don't know whether you can zoom in, but there is a row of mature and very tall shrubs that extend the full depth of our property along the east property line. These shrubs extend beyond the height of the second floor of the neighboring property and completely screen the property. These tall shrubs and the 2 other revisions mentioned previously will not only mitigate but eliminate any overviews into the property at 464 FAIRLAWN. I would also like to mention that we're not requesting any setback variances. In summary, in my opinion, the variances requested are minor, are in line, and some are actually less than some of the other variances approved on the street by the committee. In my opinion, this application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act. Thank you.
And you're changing the variance number 6 to 10 square.
Variance number 6. Yes, to maximum of 10 square meters. That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
If there is no question in the meantime, we'll hear the other speakers and then we'll bring back the agent. So the next one I have here is Margia Finney. Marigia Finney, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am here.
Could you please?
If it's okay with you.
Yeah, just tell us first your name and address, please, before we move on.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Maria Finney. I live at 460 FAIRLAWN.
Okay, and tell us, do you still have any concern about this application?
Well, I do. My husband and I submitted a letter, but I thought it was important to also, since you can't see me, to lend my voice to those concerns as well. If it's okay with you, I thought it might be appropriate for Mr. Pileggi to speak first, since he's representing really the consensus here. And what I was hoping to do was just add any other color. I mean, I do have a question to pose, but if it gets raised, then there's no point in me reiterating things.
Okay, excuse me. You want who do you want to speak, Mr. Who?
Mr. Pileggi.
Yeah, we have him on the line. We have him on. He's next. He's the next speaker.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're okay with this, we'll go to the next one, and he's.
Thank you.
He's the next one speaking. Just a second. Any question to this speaker? She's okay with the next speaker, which we're going to put on board. Okay, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Pileggi, Nick Pileggi. Are you online?
I'm here, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, can you please repeat your name?
I just wanted to, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to clarify. I think the previous speaker just said she wants to speak after me, just so she could perhaps comment on it. I think that was what she was saying.
Okay, she did not use.
I'm just saying, sorry to interrupt. I just don't think she's done. That's all.
Okay, it doesn't matter because she did not use her 5 minutes. We can give her some more. Now it's yours.
But I think she should. Then I think she should be given the time to speak her concerns.
Yeah, I said she did not use her 5 minutes. She will be authorized to continue it. In the meantime,
I see.
Is yours, and please go ahead and you have your 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Nick Pileggi. I'm a registered professional planner with Macaulay Show Me Housing Limited, 520 Industrial Parkway, South Aurora. I've been retained by the owner of 464 FAIRLAWN, the property immediately to the east of 466 FAIRLAWN, the property with the proposed variances. I provided written correspondence to the Committee of Adjustment with my planning opinion. Perhaps staff could put that up because there's a drawing there that I wanted to refer to. And my conclusion is that some of the variances before you do not meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I'd like to touch on some of the points. Specifically, the letter outlines concerns with the variances related to building depth, coverage, and balcony size. The official plan states that development in established neighborhoods will respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, including in particular the heights, massing, scale, density, and dwelling type of nearby residential properties, and the prevailing pattern of rear and side yard setbacks and landscape open space. Further, it states that related to zoning bylaws, they will contain numerical site standards for matters such as building type and height, density, lot sizes, lot depth, lot frontage, and others to ensure that new development will be compatible with the existing physical character of established residential neighborhoods. It's my submission to the committee that the proposed building depth variances do not respect the prevailing pattern. Is the letter available to be put up on the screen?
Staff is currently looking for it.
Thank you. There's a drawing, I think, on the second page.
Good job.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I don't know if my clock is still ticking, so I'll continue.
Very good.
I don't think that the building depth variances respect the prevailing pattern of rear yard setbacks. And the drawing I had was an air photo that showed you that along FAIRLAWN, there's a pretty consistent rear yard setback and building depth and frontages along the entire stretch. I don't feel that that meets the compatibility test, and the letter outlines the consistent rear yard. Also, it's my opinion that the proposed variances for building depth failed to meet the intent of both the OP and the zoning bylaw and should not be approved. Further, the extended building depth creates two additional variances that are undesirable and don't meet the minor test of the Planning Act. That is, the existing building depth creates a coverage variance that would be greatly reduced or removed entirely if the building depth were consistent with the other homes along this stretch of FAIRLAWN. In applying the test of desirability and minor to this variance, the compounding effect of the building depth variance fails, in my view, to meet this test. As for the balcony variance, the proposed balcony, even one reduced to 10 square meters, is still 2.5 times that of the maximum permitted balcony size in the bylaw. However, there is also a locational consideration here, in that the balcony is located on the exact area where the depth of the variance is also required. So that's a compounding effect that not only is the balcony too big, it's also located in an area where the balcony would not otherwise be located. The variance for the balcony creates an incompatible overlook situation into adjacent rear yards. In my view, the variance for the enlarged balcony fails to meet the test of desirability and certainly is not minor and should not be approved. Again, it's 2.5 times as big as the maximum. The agent has referred to other the agent for the applicant has referred to other precedent applications in the area and provided us with a chart showing one at 492 FAIRLAWN where similar variances were approved. As the committee knows, variance approvals are not precedent setting, and the variance for 466 FAIRLAWN should be reviewed based on its own merit. However, taking into account specifically the 492 and 466 are quite different. 492 backs onto a parking lot and a park, which includes an outdoor pool and a skating rink. The context of that application is quite different. 466 FAIRLAWN is also a corner lot, so while the building depth of other variances in the area might not be recognizable from the street, these variances will very much be recognizable immediately from Ledbury Avenue. So it's my view, and in 492 also didn't have a balcony variance, and I've gone through that with you in terms of why I think that's not minor. While the variances at I think the committee should disregard those other variances and make sure that they're looking at the context between the two sites. While I'm retained by the owner of 464 FAIRLAWN, which is immediately to the east of the dwelling.
Sir, I'll ask you to summarize, please.
Okay, so I did want to speak that my letter provided an application or an idea of a deferral because we did feel like that some dialogue with the owner and the agent for the owner could resolve some of the matters made by the committee. However, should the committee be pressed to make a decision today, it's my professional planning opinion that the variances for building depth, items 2 and 3, coverage number 4, and enlarged balcony do not meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act and should not be approved.
Okay, thank you. Any question for this speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pledgy, you are a planner, and my question to you is about variance number 6. In your opinion, what is the admissible area that the balcony should have while the bylaw does not allow beyond 4 square meters?
So through you, Mr. Chair, that's a difficult one for me to respond to, Mr. Khan, because it's not just the number of the variance itself, it's the fact that the balcony itself is located on that additional 3 meters that's required for the building depth variance. So what I would put to you, sir, is that it would be a very, very small variance, if any, that would be advisable.
I would have appreciated if, as a planner, you would have suggested to me that what is acceptable to you.
Mr. Chair, that's tough. Through you, Mr. Chair, that's very, very tough for me. That's a tough position for me to be in because, I haven't looked at that. I just know that locationally, for me, the balcony is not in a good position. I think the variance that's before you is not minor. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Okay, if not, we'll go to the next speaker. And then we'll ask who's that, Maria Fini, that she wanted to say something else?
Mr. Chair, do you want to go back to her first then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maria Fini.
Thank you.
Maria Fini, you heard Mr. Pileggi, and did you want to add something?
Yes, thank you very much. So I'm glad I don't have to speak to the technical issues because I'm not a technical person at all. I guess there were two points that I wanted to make. I guess number one, I wanted to lend my voice to this because I guess want to do everything I can to ensure that, the owner's voice isn't a louder voice than the other residents here. And the other point is that what I haven't heard in the application and why we thought a deferral would have been good so we can sit down and talk to the owner and their planner is this is a single family dwelling. I haven't heard anything about what's necessitating, the application for all these variances. It just it's not resonating with me, and it would be helpful to understand what the rationale behind that is, and if they don't get their variance, how are they going to be impacted by it?
Okay, thank you. We'll get the agent back to answer all those questions. In the meantime, any question for this speaker? No? Okay, we'll get the last speaker here, who is Wendy Susan Fisher. Wendy Susan Fish. Wendy Susan Fish, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Okay, can you please state your name and address?
Yes, I am here. My name is Wendy Fish. I am the owner of the house at 462 Fairlawn Avenue, exactly one house over from Mr. Singer at 464 Fairlawn Avenue.
Thank you. So please tell us what's your concern.
Mr. Speaker and the committee feel that the variance is requested and the character in which they were requested in that it was just, we found out about it through the city, really don't show a neighborly way of doing things. As well, I am concerned greatly about the privacy impacts of a substantial balcony at an elevation overlooking not only Mr. Singer's property, but my property. And it prohibits the quiet and safe enjoyment of my own backyard. And it does vary greatly with the character of the street. And to reiterate what my neighbor Maria Finney is saying, is that this is a single family dwelling and it goes well in excess of what is in characteristic with this block of the street. They had referred to 492 Fairlawn Avenue. However, that's well on the other side of Ledbury Avenue and does back onto a parking lot. So I'm concerned that these variances create both a shadow effect and impact our privacy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a second. Any questions to this speaker? No? Okay, so we'll bring back the Mr. Jonathan Weisel. Can you come back, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, could you please address those
Yes.
questions?
Yes. First of all, 492 Fairlawn is only 4 houses to the west across Sledbury. I did give examples of other properties on Fairlawn, 4 of which have coverage variances larger than what we're requesting, 2 that have height variances larger than what we're requesting, and 1 right across the street, 459 Fairlawn, that was granted a length variance of 21 meters, which is more than we are requesting. So the variances that we are proposing are well within what's been approved in the area. And yes, I realize that the committee looks at the merits of every application and doesn't rely on precedents. I'll refer you back to the staff report. The staff report, the planner said if we reduce the second floor balcony to only 10 square meters, then they were in support, and we are in agreement with that. The height and everything else, staff report had no objections. And as I did say, we are proposing a 1.8 meter high solid screen along the east side of the balcony that would prevent any overviews to 464 and 462 Fairlawn. And there are existing row of shrubs that extend all the way to our rear property line, which again would block any overviews into 464 and 462. So I respectfully disagree with the planner, and I think the variances proposed are minor in keeping with what's been approved in the neighborhood. And I'm hoping the committee will support the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for these gentlemen? And if no questions, can I have a motion, please? Anyone for a motion? Mr. Kate, yeah, Mr. Kate, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having listened to both sides of the this proposal, I appreciate the concerns of the neighbors. However, I think in the end, I have to agree with the planning staff report. They seem to be satisfied with this application. As amended, I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application with variance number 6 revised. The proposed area, the rear balcony at the second story, changed from 12.36 meters squared to 10 meters square. And subject to the conditions set out in the planning staff report dated June 4, that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan, revised east side elevation and south front elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, attached as attachments 1, 2, and 3 to this report, and subject to forestry condition.
Forestry. Thank you. Second, Mr. Khan, second. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Hunt is opposing. And sir, your application is approved based on those the staff report conditions and forestry. Okay? So that's number 32. I don't know if you heard me. Mr. Weisel, did you hear the
I heard you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, have a nice
Yes.
Number 33, which is 551 St. Clement Avenue, application number 33. And here we have just one speaker who's the agent, Mr. Lone Rose. Are you there?
I'm here, sir. Thank you.
Okay, again, I know we know who you are. You came here twice, so can you repeat your name? We need it to be...
Sure, Lauren Rose, sorry.
Yeah,
Lauren Rose, 388 Spadina Road.
Thank you. So we have here a new dwelling with 9 variances, forestry conditions, 15 supports, and transportation, no objection. Could you please remove that stuff? I don't see them. Thank you. Okay, so members, do we need the presentation here? No, we don't need presentation. Mr. Rose, the members do not need the presentation. Do you want to add something, or we just go to the committee for decision?
I have nothing else to add.
Thank you. Can I have, if no question or motion, can I have a motion if there is no question? Mr. Khan?
Sir, I want to make a motion if you allow.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there are no staff recommendations for this particular application, and transportation services has okayed variance number 1. So I'm making it a minor variance. So I moved, and zoning bylaws are met. So I move that this application be approved, subject to forestry conditions.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Okay. Mr. Rose, unanimously approved and conditioned just the forestry.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay. Members, if you're okay, we're going to have 5 minutes break. I need to go to the washroom. Good timing. I'm sorry? For some reason it goes off. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back into session and we're into application number 34. Application number 34, which is 93 HANNA Road, application number 34. We have here the agent and a number of speakers. Shadi Arani, are you there?
Yes, my name is Shadi Arani from 12 Lauderdale Drive.
Thank you. Okay, so as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more speakers here. This is a new dwelling, 7 variances. Staff report recommends to refuse variance number 7. Transportation recommends to refuse also variance number 7. 11 letters of objection, and the councillor recommends to refuse the application. So could you please give us a 5-minute presentation as to the merit of your application so we can call the other speakers?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. But before I begin, I would like to request to eliminate variance number 7 for the reasons that you mentioned, because of all the concerns that were expressed. So if you could kindly remove that from this application. In addition to that, we also like to remove variance number 2, which is a request for increase in floor space index. And that's based on the meetings that we had with some of the neighbors up to the last minute because they had concern about the size of the house. So our new FSI is 58%, 58.5, which is well below the allowable 60%. If you could kindly eliminate those 2 variances. And regarding variance number 1, we would like to reduce the length of the building because this was the councillor's concern from 17.6 meters to 17.3 meters. Okay. One last adjustment, regarding variance number 3, which is the north side setback, we would like to increase that side yard setback from 0.6 meters to 0.9 meters.
Okay. So you're eliminating number 7 and 2, and you're changing
correct
number 1 to 17.3 and number 3 to 0.9. So please go ahead.
That is correct.
So please go
So
ahead.
regarding the side yard setback, I don't know if you can pull out the site plan, but if you can look at the site plan, the lot has an irregular shape and it's unique in its shape. On the south side setback at the front of the building with our proposed design, we have a 1 meter setback, and at the rear we have 1.3 meters. It's only at 2 points along the length of the property that this setback gets reduced to 0.9, which is, again, it's due to the irregular shape of the lot. The setback of the existing building on the south side is 0.6 meters. So the proposed setback is in every way an improvement to the current setback. Regarding the north setback, the setback of the existing building is 0.32 meters. So the proposed setback of 0.9 meters is again an improvement to the current setback. And again, if you look at the rear of the property where the side property line turns in an angle, at some point the same setback even increases to 1.5 meters. Please also note that both neighboring properties on the north side and south side currently have a setback of 0.32 and 0.39 meters to the property line. So this is kind of the characteristic of all these neighboring properties, but the proposed setbacks would be bigger than the neighboring properties. In terms of the lot coverage, this is because we are proposing a rear detached garage, and that is what's increasing the lot coverage by slightly over 1%. Regarding the rear yard setback, again, it's a result of the detached garage. There was a detached garage there for years, which got demolished a couple of years ago. But in order to facilitate a single car garage with a minimum size requirement as per bylaw, the rear yard variance is inevitable. And also to respect the side yard setback to the side neighbor. So instead of requesting a variance to the side yard setback for the 2 feet, we are requesting the rear yard setback. Currently, the height for this ancillary structure is 3.89 meters, which is below the allowable 4 meters height. But still, to address the side neighbors' concern regarding the height, we are happy to reduce that height by another 2 feet to 3.3 meters. And this height could remain as a condition upon committee's approval. I know this is beyond the scope of the committee, but I know that the neighbors mainly had a concern about the front tree, which had to be removed as a result of the parking pad. Now that the parking pad is not being placed, the tree will not be removed, and just addressing the neighbors' concern, that we'll work with forestry to make sure that minimal injury is done to this application. And as you mentioned, staff is in support of the other variances, which has now been eliminated and reduced. The building is surrounded on two sides by one traditional older building, and on the other side by a new flat roof, modern cut stone and metal building. So we believe that our proposed building with slope roof and brick and front face with some hints of contemporary elements such as a box window would be the right transition between the two buildings, the two surrounding buildings. After these changes proposed, we believe that the building will not be the largest, neither the longest, and for sure not the tallest on the street and in the neighborhood, and will be in harmony with the character of the neighborhood, especially with recent approvals in the neighborhood. There is a building on the street which is under construction currently with a length of 17.8 meters. And there was another recent approval with side yard setback of 0.6 meters and lot coverage of 37.
Okay, so
as I
I'll
mentioned,
ask you to summarize, and you're going to be back after the other one speak. So could you please summarize fast, please?
For sure. And as I mentioned, our proposed FSI is now at 58.5%, which is well below the allowable. So our building is definitely following the bylaw. And I would be happy any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Unless you have any fast question, we're going to bring back the agent after the other speakers. Okay? So the next speaker is Cynthia Fleming. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, Cynthia is not present on this call.
Okay. Jeff Cattell, are you there? Mr. Jeff Cattell, we don't hear you. Are you there? Oh, something wrong with the system. We don't hear you. There's something wrong with your with the electronic there. Could you please see if you can repeat your name and see if the system works? Speak to the. No, we can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Jeff, if you could log out and log back in and try again. Right now, it sounds like you're a cartoon character or something.
So maybe. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, the next one on the list is Paul
Staffier,
and Paul's not present on the call at this time.
He's not present.
Correct.
How about Maria Holder?
Yes, Maria is present on the call. I'll cue her up here in a moment.
Okay.
All right, she's unmuted.
Okay.
Hi there.
Maria, yeah, hi. Could you please state your name and address?
Yeah, so my name is Maria Holder and I live at 91 HANNA.
Thank you. Now, how about Ahmed Holder? Is he going to be speaking, or you, or him, or
He isn't.
I'm sorry.
I'll speak on his behalf.
You are perfect.
I'll speak on his behalf. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So,
he's my husband.
did you hear the changes that the applicants make? And
No, and that's wonderful. Yeah, no, that's great. I had two main concerns. I mean, three, but it seems like they've worked with you guys to alleviate one of them, being they wanted to put a front yard parking pad in their front garden, and that would have impacted and removed a very large, mature, beautiful tree from our street. And so all of us were a little upset about that and didn't want that to happen. So it looks like that's not going ahead. So that's great. My second concern was with respect to the south yard setback. My understanding is that they were looking for an additional sort of to come closer to our property right now, because we adjoin, 91 adjoins, is a neighbor to the south, is the immediate neighbor to the south. So, and we have an air conditioning unit on the side of our property. It's already very tight to get in and out. So my concern was here is that, asking for a further reduction of the setback there would further bring our properties closer together and just make it that much more difficult to service that side of the property and to fix our air conditioning and such. But from what the agent said this morning, I think she indicated that, and she can confirm this if possible. She indicated that that the the new building, the proposed building, is actually going to have a setback of it's going to be set back further than the current building right now. So that's giving us a little bit more space, like both properties a bit more space to walk up and down that building. So I'm happy about that. And you know, I was concerned that we wouldn't have access to our air conditioning unit to be able to fix it.
Okay.
So if that's the case, yeah, so that's a good thing.
Are you all done? Yeah, you're talking about variance number 3. They changed.
Yeah, so I was actually talking about variance number 4. Sorry, that's I'm on the south, so it would be the south yard setback that I was speaking about. Yeah. So my understanding is that it's 0.6 right now, and she or it's, I think that's what she said. She said it was a 0.6, and they're asking for a setback to be 0.9. I think that's what she said.
Okay.
And with respect to, so my main concern is, and the concern of many of the neighbors here is variance number 6. What they propose, I understand that they want to put a garage on the property, a freestanding garage, and there may have been a freestanding garage there in the past. However, the lot size, this is an old Toronto lot size, right? And the garages that were in place were very tiny, almost shed-like type of structures, and it was in keeping with, I'm sure, the bylaws at the time when these lots were actually created. So it made sense that, sure, a garage could fit there. And now the bylaws have changed such that these garages, these freestanding garages, are really rather large and very tall. And so a garage, even by its minimum setback requirements to sort of meet the 4 corners of what the minimum requirements are, is still very, very large for the type of property that you're talking about. I mean, I've seen the drawings of the garage, and while I'm sure it's beautiful, it's just massive for the actual space that it's going into, and it's going to effectively block my view of the neighborhood. It's going to overshadow our properties on both sides, both myself on the south and then the neighbor to the north. So I would have to put my objection to this. You know, we object to it, and we hope that the committee hears our objections and here's the neighborhood and what they have to say.
Okay. Any questions for this speaker? I can't see them. Could you please remove the? Thank you. Any question for the speaker? No. So we go to the next one. Before we get Mr. Katal, we'll go to Patricia and Donald Jeffries. Are you there? Yeah. Patricia.
I'm here.
Oh, good. Could you please state your name?
Don Jeffries.
And your address?
Don Jeffries, 14 Field Avenue.
Okay. So we have here Don and Patricia. Who wants to speak? You or Patricia?
I'm speaking.
Thank you. So please tell us what's your concern about this application after you heard the agent, and you have a maximum of 5 minutes.
Yes. 93 Hannah Road is an unusual lot. It's an L-shaped lot wrapping around a corner house at 95 Hannah Road. The frontage is on Hannah Road. The driveway and the garage are around the corner, and the access is from Field Avenue. We live across from that driveway on Field Avenue and have lived here for more than 50 years, so we're really familiar with the streets and surroundings. I'm having trouble grasping the impact of the changes that have been suggested by the agent, and so I can't grasp the impact and whether these are would reduce my concern significantly. But certainly the variance requested, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, were not minor by any reasonable definition, and the cumulative effect is massing that overwhelmed the lot. I guess the garage at the back seems to me to be larger than you'd expect for a garage, as Maria said. This garage would be a foot wider and 4.5 feet longer than the one we have, and the car fit in there. And the owner of 93 for many, many years put his car in the old frame garage that's been demolished. So it wasn't a shed, it was a full garage. And I think the other impact, I think, is that the front of that garage with a reduced setback will stick out from the front lines of the houses on the south side of Field Avenue by, I'm not sure, the diagram is so tiny I can't see, but maybe a couple of feet. I guess the other concern I have has to do with the white cedar tree in the backyard on the northern boundary. It's a private tree. The tree is said to be structurally deficient and a hazard, but from our observation, which is just across the street, it doesn't appear to be so. And I know the application states that it's a private tree and requires a permit to remove it. I guess would suggest that any approvals related to this application be made conditional on having the applicant follow the city protocols related to private trees. So I think
Sir, I'd like just to save you some time here. We do not deal with the trees here. We have a condition for forestry, and they will deal with them, and they're not allowed to remove without special permission. So I just want to save you some time here.
Okay. Those are the points I wanted to make, but I still think that the dwelling is too large for the lot, and I would prefer that it, if anything, that be deferred so that we can grasp the impact of these changes that are being suggested. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question for this speaker? No? Okay. We have one more speaker before we go to Mr. Cattell. Heather Wright, are you there? Is there?
Hello?
Oh, hi. Could you please state your name and address?
Heather Wright, 95 Hannah Road.
Thank you. Tell us, please, what's your concern after you heard what the presentation is all about?
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for listening to us today. So I live with my family at 95 Hannah Road. We're just to the north of 93 Hannah Road. And while we do appreciate some of the changes that the agent has articulated today, our big concern is with the overall cumulative effect of the proposals that are before you. I don't believe that the variances proposed are minor. While I do appreciate that there are, slim setbacks, as it were, currently with the two houses, as the agent referenced, that's an historical setback, and the property and the building that they're proposing goes significantly further back than what is there now. So with those tight setbacks, the new structure, the new dwelling, effectively sort of boxes in our property. It comes, halfway across our deck, affecting sunlight, affecting, our access to certain parts of our property. And then when you add that all in with the proposal for the garage, we essentially are being boxed in by a structure to the south and to the east. And so our big concern, given the changes that the agent has offered today, is with the setback of the garage. The minimum setback per the city bylaw is 6 meters. They've proposed 5.48 meters, and what that does is build an essentially very large structure that obscures our sightline down Field Avenue, while also, we have to contend with the structure that's going to be taking up a good section of, our views to the south as well, and impacting our sunlight on that side. So while, we understand the desire to build a garage, we believe that such a structure can be built that's not as big as what has been proposed, that wouldn't take up as much surface area of the property. And given just the absolute size of the house and the garage together, we just believe that this is too big of a proposal for the property. And we ask that that if an ancillary building, as they've called it in their application, is approved, we ask that it would be to the setback bylaws of 5.48, so as to not jut out onto Field Avenue, and to sort of mitigate that feeling of being boxed in our property due to the nature of the irregular L-shaped lot that 93 Hannah is on.
Thank you. Any question for the speaker? No? Okay, so we have one more speaker, see if he's online or still has problems with the electronics. Mr. Jeff Cattell, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. What happened to your
I
system?
was just coming on the phone.
Okay, all right, thank you. So please
Okay.
go. You heard the applicant and the changes, so please tell us what's your concern.
Okay, my name is Jeff Cattell, and I'm with co-president of the Leaside Residents Association. Am I being echo here?
No, that's fine. You're doing very good. So you,
Okay,
you
all right.
state your name. That's what we need. Just please tell us what's your concern.
Okay, so the proposal is to demolish the existing single-family two-story masonry dwelling and construct a new, much larger two-story dwelling with separate garage. This proposal, with its virtually flat roof and materials of indeterminate materials and glass facade, fails to follow the Leaside character preservation guidelines and fails to integrate with the vocabulary of the streetscape. The town of Leaside, I would remind you, was designed by Frederick Todd, holds an important position in the history of planning in the country, being one of the first 3 model new towns based on Garden City principles of Ebenezer Howard in Canada, and the first in Ontario. So maintenance of the architectural integrity and the urban landscape which characterizes the streetscape, and not just the road network, is essential to preserving its historic value. The replacement dwelling has large windows, undetermined materials, and a mansard roof sets a precedent of systematically eroding the historic Garden City character of Leaside. However, the applicant has come in today and proposed some small adjustments to their application, which and we are cognizant of the neighbors, and we very much support the neighbors' concerns as described today, and share their appreciation for the changes that have been made. Nevertheless, we would continue to support their concerns in terms of the 4 tests under the Planning Act, whereby the application does not comply, being too large for the site, and with the lot coverage, and the failing to preserve the character of the street, and the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. And we would particularly support the neighbors' concerns around the garage. And we would request that you ensure that the garage is kept to within the what's appropriate as an ancillary building under the bylaws. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Any questions for this gentleman? No? Okay, we'll bring back the agent. Ms. Arani, are you back?
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, so please go ahead. Could you please respond to those concerns there so we can move on?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding the size of the building, I just want to bring to the neighbors' attention that we just eliminated the floor space index variance. So that by itself says that the building is within the allowable square footage that the bylaw allows. And Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, we would like to request that you also reduce the lot coverage from 36.69% to 36.05%.
That's variance,
which is
variance number 5.
Yes.
To how much? 30 what?
36.05. That is almost 1% over the allowable lot coverage. So that also answers questions about the size of the building and if it's appropriate for this lot. Also, as I mentioned, I know Maria is concerned about the ancillary structure, about the garage. We are happy to go below what the bylaw allows, and you can add a condition that the height of the garage cannot be over 3.3 meters. And this allows us to allocate enough height for a car and also keep the roof sloped so it would be in character with the neighborhood, as opposed to having a flat roof. Regarding the concern about flat roof, this building is not flat roof. It's not categorized flat roof under the bylaw, and it visibly has slope roof on the side. It's a mansard roof. The front material is actually brick because we have the brick hatch on the elevation. You can see it. I think it was unclear to one of the neighbors, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And again, considering we have a fully modern house on one side and a tradition on the other, I think we believe that it's a perfect transition between the two designs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for this speaker? Mr. Khan.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to request Ms. Irani if she could kindly go slowly, variance by variance, what has been changed, so that I can make up my mind.
I have them. Okay, Mr. Irani, do you want to go over them or you want me to say it? I think we got them here. Please go ahead. He has to hear it from you. Could you please go over the applications? You eliminate number 7.
For sure.
Go ahead. Okay.
So variance number 7 has been eliminated, which is a request for parking pad. Variance number 2 also has been eliminated, which was a request for elimination in floor space index. And regarding variance number 1, that's also reduced from 17.6 to 17.3. Variance number 3, the north side setback has been increased from 0.6 to 0.9. And the lot coverage has reduced from 36.69.
36.05.
Correct, to 36.05.
Okay. Did you get that, Mr.
And we are also,
yeah.
Mr. Khan, we are also happy to reduce the height of the garage to 3.3 meters, which is well below what the bylaw allows. So to assure the neighbor that we are not going over that, so you can add that as a condition.
But that's not variance, is it?
No,
No.
I just wanted to.
Mr. Chairman,
I just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Chairman, you can't.
Yeah.
Change you can't allow the bylaw
below. Yeah.
You can't go below the bylaw.
That's right. Yeah, that's below the bylaw. We can't make a condition for below the. Anyway, those changes, number 1, number 3, number 7, number 2 are removed. Number 5, you're changing it to 36.05. Number 1 to 17.30, and number 3 to 0.9. So, Mr. Khan, are you okay, or you need something else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Irani. Thank you.
Okay, any other question? Ms. Sankar, is that a question?
No, I'm ready for a motion if that's okay with you,
if
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, if there is no more questions, Ms. Sankar, go ahead and make the motion. Make the motion, yeah.
Okay, I've listened really carefully to, a lot of really great points that the neighbors have said. Clearly this is a neighborhood that is very important to the people that live in it. And so I want to honor that as well. I am looking at this application, and I want to make one comment, is that I really didn't appreciate having to sit here and go through all of these different changes on the spot. These are things that could have been ironed out with the neighbors had there been proper consultation. So for the benefits of people here, I think that's important to note. But given that the changes were very clear and the changes do address what the neighbors had major concerns with, and that it does seem to have met the criteria of transport as well as the staff report, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application and I'm not going to go through all the changes because we've done that, twice before. So with the amendments that have been made here today with the agent at hand, and I will also make this subject to forestry.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt, second. All in favor? Okay. Okay, your application is approved based on those changes and to the and based to forestry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that was number 34. Number 35. Item number 35, which is 6A INEZ Court, application number 35. We have here one speaker and another one. Is the speaker, the agent is here?
Mr. Chair and committee members, yes, the area resident is present on the
And
call.
Bruce Marshall, the second one?
Yeah, Bruce is the one that's the area resident and he is present.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Tom Clark, are you there? Tom
Yes,
Clark.
I am, Mr. Thomas Gluck,
We hardly hear you, sir. Could you please speak to the mic?
Thomas Gluck.
No, we still don't hear you. See if you can speak to the mic or increase it or whatever you have to do.
How about now?
Yeah,
Can you
very
hear me?
little. Yeah. Can you speak louder, please?
I can try to speak louder, certainly.
Okay, this is better. So, first,
Okay, very good.
first, could you please state your name and address?
Yes, Thomas Gluck, 156 Duncan Mill Road, North York.
Thank you. So, we have one more speaker here. Therefore, we need you to make a presentation. This is regarding an extension to the existing rear deck. We have two variances. Staff report has only a condition, and you have 8 letters of support. But because we have one more speaker here, we need you to make a 5-minute presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Staff, may I ask that the supporting materials, the last package, be made available starting with the first photograph?
We're bringing it up for you.
Thank you.
In the meantime, if you'd like to continue.
It's really very much dependent on having that picture in front of us.
Please go ahead. We have them on, each one has it on their screen, and besides we can see
Okay.
it from far. Okay.
Actually, staff, this is the actual submission, but there are supplementary information, and this would be the last package in the file.
Are you still there?
I'm here.
So please go ahead.
Okay. We are looking at the front of the building, and what this tells us is that it's one of those buildings that has a raised front entrance, and the main level of the house is actually the first floor above the garage. In the back, we have a balcony currently at that level, and the proposal is to extend that balcony an extra 7 feet. What the supporting documents show is that this is very much in keeping with the neighborhood. In fact, every one of the neighbors to the east, the west, and to the north have exactly the same balcony extension already in place, and all the owner is looking to is to blend in and be able to enjoy the same benefits as their neighbors. To the north, adjacent to the backyard, is Fairchild Parkette. So there's no, there we go, okay. So 6A and 6B is a pair of buildings very tight to each other. So is 51 and 49 Fairchild. So is 53 and 55 Fairchild. Okay, so we can quickly keep running through. Go to the next one. We've gone through that. The next one, that's how the back looks presently. Looking from the parkette, the house in question is the one with the red canopy. Both houses to the east and the west already have their balcony extensions. We continue to the next one. This is the property to the east. They have the same balcony extension we're looking for. Next one is the property to the west. They have the same balcony extension. Then we continue looking to the north. These are 53 and 55 Fairchild. They have their balcony extensions. And then the last photo is along the west side of the property. We're looking at all four houses in a row, 49, 51, 53, and 55 Fairchild. They all have their balcony extensions. So in reality, all that this owner is looking for is to blend. We submit that nobody's being inconvenienced. As a matter of fact, the only person who would be inconvenienced would be this owner if this request was not approved. Thank you.
Are you through, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay. As you know, the staff condition is requiring 1.8 meter private fence along the east. Are you okay with that?
Yes, we're certainly okay with that.
Okay. So we have one more speaker here. Bruce Marshall, are you there? Yeah. Mr. Marshall, are you there?
Oh, yep. I just became unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Please tell us your name and your address.
My name is Bruce Marshall, and I'm at 6B INEZ Court.
Thank you. And you heard the applicant, and tell us, please, what's your concern?
I do not have a concern. I was just here to actually support the applicant and out of interest to see how this process unfolds.
Good. So that's yeah, that's a good neighbor, right?
That's what I was trying to do. I didn't mean to take away any of Thomas's time with the 5-minute limit.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We have 8 letters of support. I guess yours is among them.
Yes, and our friendly neighbors.
Yes. Any question to this supporter? No. Okay. So so can we get back Mr. Clock, Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Any question for this gentleman or any question? If there is no question, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Sir, how could I raise a question when I couldn't hear at all a single word?
You have a question? Go ahead.
No, sir, I have no, I couldn't hear.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
All right. So what's the answer? Do you want a question or do you want to move on?
Mr. Chair, let somebody proceed. I didn't hear. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having listened to the applicant and the concurrence of his most immediate neighbor, I would move approval of this on the condition under the planning staff report of June 1st that a 1.8 meter privacy fence be constructed and maintained on the east side property line.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chair, I will abstain.
Abstain. Okay. So, sir, your application is approved, subject to the condition of the staff which to provide 1.8 meter fence along the east side. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 36 was done. Was was deferred, right? Now we have
Yeah.
number 37. Application number 37, which is 90 Brighton Avenue. Application number 37. 37, we have the agent and one more speaker.
Mr. Chair and members, the area resident is not present on the call.
Okay, so we have just the agent. Okay, and okay, Mr. Zabzouni, Marin Zabzouni, or Miss?
Good afternoon.
Hi, could you please state your
Good
name?
afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Your name and address, please.
Yes. Yes, my name is Marin Zabzouni at 1140 the Queensway. Thank you.
Okay, we have here the constructed new dwelling. You indicated to staff that you want to eliminate a number of number 2 and modify 3, 1, and 4. So could you please give us your presentation and tell us exactly which application you want to change to what, so we can have it recorded. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Yes, essentially we want to revise the variances as we work very closely with city planning, and the variances that we want to revise match the planning report, which goes by item number 1, the proposed coverage reduced from 36.43% to 35.65%. Item number 2, building length variance removed. Item number 3, front yard setback improved to 8.41 meters. Item number 4, the east side yard setback improved to 1.5 meters. Item number 6 removed. Item number 7 removed. Item number 8 removed. And that's the changes to the variances as reflected on the planning report.
Very good.
So yes.
Yeah, just to recap here, number 6, 7, and 8 are removed, right?
Correct.
Okay, so please go ahead.
Yeah, so we're proposing a 2-story dwelling. As I said, we're working very closely with planning. In terms of the lot coverage, the increase in coverage is consistent with other approved variances in the neighborhood. We feel this variance is minor in nature and in keeping with similar approvals in the neighborhood and surrounding built form. In terms of item number 4, this is the east side yard setback. Requesting only 1.5 meters, we do comply with a west side yard setback. And even on this proposed variance, it's only for the front portion of the dwelling. If you see the drawings in the site plan, the rear half portion of the east side yard actually complies with the side yard setback. So we're only asking for this portion, and 1.5 meters is quite common in North York. In terms of item number 9 and 10, this reflects the old bylaw in terms of building height variance and first floor height variance. Again, this is more of a technical variance due to the crown of the road. We comply with building height on the new bylaw. Overall, we're proposing a home that fits the area. The variances are minor in nature, and we believe this application meets the 4 tests. And happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Members, any question? If there is no question, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Kidd, I have Mr. Kidd first. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It appears to me that the applicant has worked closely with planning staff to come up with an application that is appropriate for the site. I believe the requested variances meet the 4 tests for minor variance. As amended, I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application with the revisions read into the record previously by the agent. Yeah, I don't need to go through those again, do I?
I think everybody got them.
Yeah, okay. Subject to forestry condition as well.
Thank you. Do you have a second? Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Okay, sir, unanimously approved based on those changes you made and based on condition of forestry.
Thank you.
Number 38, which is 52 to 50 Forest Manor Road, application number 38. And here we have just one agent, one speaker who's the agent. Charlie Smith, are you there?
Hello, Mr. Chair. Yes, I am
Hi.
here.
Just
Charlie.
please tell us your name and your address.
Yes, Charlie Smith, 3 Church Street, Suite 200, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, so this is an application to legalize and maintain the 3 parking spaces. You have 2 variances, but transportation is asking to defer for parking study. Do you have anything to say about that? And did you discuss it with them? And what's your concern? What's your thought on it?
So yes, there are three variances here, and in our submitted materials, we submitted a parking letter which demonstrated that the 3 variances which sought relief from minor obstructions in an underground parking garage. There was a parking letter attached that was provided by WSP Canada that gave an analysis of the 3 variances, indicating that the 3 parking spaces would still be able to function appropriately. So perhaps that those transportation comments are forthcoming, but a parking study was provided to address those concerns from transportation.
Okay. Yeah, since we don't have anybody else, I'll go to the members. Members, any question to this gentleman? If not, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I do believe that the application itself is self-explanatory and straightforward, as well as what was added by the agent here today helped me along to my decision, which is to a motion to approve this application as is.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah, that was my mistake here. It is 3 variances. Okay, can I have a second, please? Mr. Hunt, second, or in favor? Mr. Khan? Opposed? Mr. Khan is opposing, and your application is approved, and that's it.
Thank you very much, all.
Okay, thank you. 39, application 39, which is 227 Old Forest Hill Road. Application number 39. And here we have just one speaker who's the agent, Mr. Drew Laszlo. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, you know who you are, but we still, for every application, we need you to say your name and address because it's recorded on the voice.
Of course, I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner. My address is 3317 Yonge Street.
Thank you. We have, this is 2-story and 1-story addition to the rear and a rear deck, 3 variances, 5 letters of support, 1 letter of objection, but I have nothing else here. Members, do we need a presentation here? No. Okay. Mr. Laszlo, we don't need the presentation. Do you want to add something before we get to the committee?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, this is a very simple application, straightforward, very minor variances. I move it for approval.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sankar, in favor? Okay, thank you. Sir, unanimously approved. And that's it. There is no conditions here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And number 40, which is 188 Haddington Avenue, application number 40. And here again, we have just the one person who's the agent, Marin Zabzouni. Are you here again?
Yes.
Okay.
Marin Zabzouni again at 1140 the Queensway.
Thank you. So we have here, this is a new dwelling, 8 variances, staff report condition to build in according to east and west elevation, and 5 letters of support. Members, do we need any presentation? No? Okay. Sir, we don't need any presentation. Do you want to add something before we go to committee?
No, thank you.
Okay, so any questions? If not, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, I'm taking the staff recommendation into consideration for approval. We developed substantially in accordance with the east and west side elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, attachment number 1 and 2 to this report, approved with forestry conditions.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Sankar, all in favor? All in favor, Mr. Hunt? Favor or opposed? Favor. Okay, thank you. Okay, sir, your application unanimously approved. Based on that,
Thank you.
based on the staff condition of the east and west elevation. Item number 41, which is 57 Paul David Street, application number 41. And here we have one speaker who is the agent plus another one resident.
Mr. Chair and members, the area resident is not present on the call.
Angelo is not here.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So we have here just
Hi, my name is Nick Stina.
yeah. Could you hold 1 second, please? We're in number 41, Paul David. Okay. Yeah. So Nick Sestina, are you you're there? Could you please state your name and address, please?
Yes, sure. The name is Nick Stina. Address is number 59 Brookfield Street, Toronto.
Thank you. We have this is to legalize and maintain the rear addition. We have 3 variances. Staff report has only a condition to develop a site plan, north side elevation, and 3 letters of support. Members, do we need a presentation? No? Okay. Sir, the members do not need a presentation. Do you want to say something or you add anything before we move to committee?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any question to this speaker? Or if not, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Kate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the requested variances are minor, meet the 4 tests for minor variance, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to the planning staff condition that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan and the north side elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment and attached as attachments 1 and 2 to the planning staff report.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt is seconding. All in favor? Okay, unanimously approved. Your application is approved unanimously based on that condition, subject to the condition of the staff, okay?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Application number 42, we did it. 43, right? We have application 43, which is 135 Old Orchard Grove, application number 43. So we have here the agent and one more speaker.
Mr. Chair and members, the area resident is not present on the call.
Thank you. Robert Picard is not there. Okay. So, Mr. Armando Barbini, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Please state your name and address.
Armando Barbini, 30 Brixham Terrace.
Okay.
That's in Toronto, Ontario. Yep.
Thank you. So we have here just a new 1-story addition, 1 variance, and forestry condition. We have nothing else. Members, do we need a presentation here? No? Okay, sir, we don't need a presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to committee?
No, that's fine. I've looked at this forestry condition and that's fine.
Thank you. Members, question? And if not, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I do believe that this is self-explanatory in the application, and I will put forward a motion to approve this application, as I do believe it meets the 4 tests and there's a lot of support for it, and it will be subject to forestry. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Kidd, all in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan is opposing. Thank you. Okay, your application is approved, sir.
Thank you.
So that's 40. Application number 44, we did it, right? Yeah. So 45. Item 45, which is 110 Snowden Avenue. Item number 45.
Yes.
We have just one speaker here. The agent is Evan Saskin. Can you please state your name and address?
Hi, I'm Evan Saskin. I'm the owner of the property. I guess my address is 110 Snowden Avenue.
Okay, thank you. If you just hold a second, we have here a new dwelling, 1 variance, and forestry condition. That's all we have. Members, do we need a presentation here? No? Sir, we don't have, the members do not need a presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to committee?
No,
Thank you.
simply that I think this meets the 4 tests and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any question? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is only one variance and the variance is very high. 0.73 is higher than allowable 0.35. How do you justify this such a high percentage that I should accept?
Sure. I think a big part of that is because we're able to achieve that density without invoking any other built form variances at all. So we've been working through a number of iterations with planning staff and with the neighbors to ensure that any negative impacts would be mitigated in terms of overlook and side setbacks and the height. The density, it's a very weird street. If you look at it on a map, it has the same lotting fabric as all of the streets to the south of it, the east and the west of it, all of which have as of right densities of 0.6 times. But this street, Snowden, has a density allowance of 0.35, which is the same as the 2 blocks to the north of it, Golfdale and Teddington Park, which enjoy much, much larger lot areas, 50-foot, 80-foot widths. So I think that for historical reasons that aren't entirely clear to me, the zoning bylaw proposes a much lower density here than is typical in the area. In working with the area planner, we went up and down Snowden Street and looked at the height and depth and site dimensions of all of the streets. And I believe fewer than 10% of the houses on Snowden conform to that 0.35 density. So even though it is much larger, it's very much in conformance with the existing built form of the street.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Okay, Mr. Kidd, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I accept the explanation from the applicant, and I believe the requested variance is minor, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to forestry condition.
Forestry, thank you. Second. Okay, Mr. Hunt seconding. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan is opposing. Okay, sir, your application is approved, subject to forestry.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, item number 46, which is your 76 York Minster, application number 46. And here we have the agent, and the other one is online.
Mr. Chair, members, no, the area resident is not present on the call at this time.
Okay, so we have just the agent. Fausto Cortez, are you there?
I am here, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
can you please state your name and address for our records here?
My name is Fausto Cortese. My address is 254 Codsell Avenue, Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you. Okay, well, this is a to construct a new loggia, or how they pronounce it, a new cabana. This was deferred in April, and you have two variances, and staff report is recommending to refuse the application. Could you please tell us, give us a short talk, what's going on? I'll give you the 5 minutes here.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your time. In an attempt to save some time, I did submit a letter stating my position or our points for the application, but I will summarize, as well as the client would like me to add a few more points. Number one, we completely understand planning's position with the 40% or maximum 40% rule, which has been offered in the area. I believe slightly over 40% in a couple cases. However, you know, we argue that coverage is not always just coverage, right? This coverage area is considered to allow for an exterior space, which is a single story in height. And the purpose of the main purpose of the entire development was because the owner's father is very ill, has a very severe heart condition, and they've actually given me his health documents, which I didn't feel I needed to share, but I can if need be. One of the issues with him is that he loves to stay outside and he needs to exercise. However, he needs an area which is shaded in order to remain outside. So we felt that the best possible way to achieve that is to create a loggia area that would be exterior but covered, keep him from the sun, as well as allows him to do his exercises in the pool area. Now, the other reason we're slightly over on coverage is that a small component of this is done by it's contributed to a cabana, which is only being used for the purpose of a washroom and a changing room. We kept the structures as small as possible. I hope that you guys can appreciate that the cabana is you know, less than 108 square feet, and would technically not even need a building permit if it didn't have any plumbing. So for these two reasons, we felt that it was really, you know, the application was still minor in nature. We are open to allowing committee to place conditions on the application, such as that the structure would never be enclosed or that it would be in keeping with the plans provided. We've also went out and explained the application to all our neighbors, and our neighbors are very supportive of the application and have also submitted letters of support for the application. So we feel that it's a great testament to the fact that we've tried to minimize the impact on everyone surrounding us, as well as we've been proposing planting, which will screen the development from the majority of the neighbors, which I've included in the letter. So although we would love to propose the exact proposal that we are proposing, I mean, we are open to committee's knowledge and recommendation on the proposal if they feel that the recommendation is too aggressive.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a comment here. The April application says the lot coverage required 30%, and you were asking 44.32, which was a high increase of 14%. The current application, it says 35 is allowed, and you asking for 42 is only 7% increase. Did you discuss this with the staff?
So yes, the reason for the deferral, last application's deferral was our zoning notice was incorrect. It stated a 30% lot coverage was allowed when actually 35% when lot coverage was allowed, as well as we didn't have the previous, we weren't able to obtain the drawings out of archive due to COVID quick enough for the application. And so based on our actual site measurements, we were a little bit off on our dimensioning there, and we showed a greater house area than previously than was actually physically built. So since that deferral, we did get the drawings out of archive. We did correct that issue, and we did correct the zoning notice to 35%. So so the numbers in front of you are now currently the correct numbers.
Okay, thank you. Any question for this gentleman? If no question, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm taking after listening to the presentation by Mr. Cortez, I'm taking the recommendation of the staff, and I agree with them that variance number 1, lot coverage 42.56 exceeds the allowable zoning bylaw limits and does not meet the official plan intent and it also changes the character of the neighborhood. Variance number 2, rear yard landscape area reduction is not a minor variance. It does not comply the intent of the zoning bylaw. Therefore, I move this application be refused.
Mr. Khan is refusing. Do I have a second? Ms. Sankar is seconding. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Hunt is opposing. Sir, your application is refused. Sorry.
Thank you, committee. Have a good afternoon.
Application 47, which is 76 St. Leonard's Avenue. Application number 47. We have here agent and area residents. Are there residents here?
Mr. Chair, members, one of the 2 area residents is present. Brian Gibbons is it present?
Yeah, they're both Gibbons. Must be the same. Okay.
But in this case, Brian is the one that is on the line.
Brian is online. Thank you. Okay. Here the agent is Mr. Sean Galbraith. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Could you please state your name and address for us?
My name is Sean Galbraith. I'm a planner here on behalf of the application. My address is 1 Yonge Street.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have here the applications for a new dwelling. We have 1 variance and forestry condition and 2 letters of objection. So since we have 1 more resident to speak, we need you to make a small presentation, please. And I give you the 5 minutes to give us a presentation as to the merit of the application.
Thank you very much. I'll keep this very brief. The application is for a new house of approximately 2,800 square feet, which is very much in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and the size of new houses that have been built. The rear of the structure has been sculpted to reduce the massing at the back, to reduce shadows and the square footage that is located at the rear of the house, to ensure that impacts on adjacent properties are mitigated. And we note that there are no objections from either of the adjacent neighbors to the east or west. No objections to the size of the proposed house have been received from staff or neighbors. We've reviewed the forestry request, and we're fine with that being imposed as a condition. Note that the variance is well within the range of approved applications in the neighborhood. FSI is far and away the most commonly approved variance in this neighborhood, and more than 25 have been approved in recent years, larger than is proposed for the subject site. And almost all of them have had any number of extra variances, up to 13 additional variances. And this subject site only requires the 1 for FSI. it complies with all other provisions of the zoning bylaw. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So we'll come back to you after we hear the other speaker. Brian,
Great.
Brian Gibbons, are you there? Mr. Gibbons, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we don't hear you very much. Could you please speak up? If you can speak loud,
Can
please.
you hear me?
A little
Can
bit
you hear me
loud.
now?
Yeah, a little bit louder. Thank you. Okay, so you heard the applicant. Could you tell us what's your concern about this application? You have 5 minutes.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Brian Gibbings, and my wife and I reside at 99 Dinnick Crescent, which we share a line with, we share a border of 50 feet with the neighbor, his north, our south. We are supportive of the application. We want to get along with our neighbors. I want to make that clear. I have 3 questions for the planners, which I'll get to, but just as a preamble, when the committee considers a variance on the density matter from 35% to 57%, it seems to me that you want to ensure that you haven't conflicted with another bylaw. In other words, if the density law is being varied, then there shouldn't be any variance to other bylaws. And the bylaw in particular I want to have some guidance on, Mr. Chairman, is the bylaw that's known as the Toronto Private Tree Bylaw. And it says to protect trees situated on private property having diameters measuring 30 centimeters, 12 inches, from being damaged or cut down unnecessarily, unnecessarily being the operative word. The bylaw provides for replacement planting as appropriate, but this does not replace.
Sir, I just want to save you some time here. We do not.
No, you don't have to.
We don't deal with the
Mr. Chair,
trees.
you don't have to. No. Yeah,
don't-
no. I have the 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't need to save me any time. So, as I said, I want to make sure that when you approve a bylaw, variance in the one matter, that you don't subsequently at the same time have a conflicting, bylaw where that's also being varied by the unnecessarily removal of a tree. Now, so then getting to my 3 questions for staff. Are you dealing with the application plan that's dated the 12th of May 2021, which replaces the one that was sent out on the first notice? Does staff have the right plan, as it were? Well, that's the first question, and because on the first plan, I think it was dated in April or perhaps even March, it was very unclear how many of these 100-foot trees are going to be lost. It could have been 3 or 4 of the trees that would come down, with very substantial trees. I'm talking 100 feet with huge canopies. So that's the first question, and I'd like staff to summarize the report because I didn't find anything on the site as to the staff position on this. Yeah. And the second question, which really those are the 2 questions, because I understand from listening to the proceedings until now that there will be an arborist report, and that the arborist report in due course will follow the strictures and the protocols of the Urban Forest Division Act. And so I guess my second question for Mr. Galbraith is, on the current plan, how many trees are being lost? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? And now I'll turn it over to the planner.
Excuse me, are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, hold a second, please. Any question to this speaker? Okay, so if there's no speaker, we get back the agent, and the agent can answer. If you, Mr. Okay, so we have the agent back here, Mr. Galbraith.
Hello.
Okay, could you please address those concerns?
So the rear yard alignment of the pool was revised, and there's a subsequent site plan application on the file to minimize the impact to one of the rear trees that is located on the neighbor's property. So that was taken into account, and there's no variances required for the rear yard soft landscaping or anything to do with the rear yard. One tree is likely needed to be removed, but this would fully be subject to the condition of urban forestry and is most properly dealt with through that avenue.
That's right. Thank you. Any question to this speaker? If not, can I have a motion, please? Anyone? Okay, Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel this is an appropriate development for the property. The floor space index seems very high on the surface, but given the fact that they're able to design the building without any other variance with respect to height or setbacks or building length, it does seem appropriate to me. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to forestry condition. Hopefully the forestry condition will meet the concerns of the neighbor who spoke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Okay, sir, unanimously approved based on forestry condition.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Oh, you too. Okay, so we have the 48th application, which is 1886 Eglinton Avenue, and we have here just the no, we have the agent and one more area residence. Is the area John Wayman is here, please?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. They are, yes.
John Wayman is here, yeah?
Present.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. No. Caitlin Allen, are you there?
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you're the architect. We have with you registered here Sue Chung. Is she also with you?
Yeah, to clarify, Sujin Chung as well as John Wyman are both representatives of the applicant team.
Okay,
Sujin is the architect and John is the owner.
And who wants to speak? Who wants to present you?
I can speak, yes.
Okay, so please tell us what's your name and address.
So my name is Caitlin Allen. I'm a planning associate with Bousfields, Inc. My address is 3 Church Street, M5E 1M2.
Thank you. So here we have here to construct a mixed-use building containing 194 units. We have 8 variances. The staff report has long list of conditions, which you probably have seen it, and the long list of conditions include financial contributions. Tell us if you're okay with those conditions. Otherwise,
yes, we are in support.
Transportation, no objection, and we have 9 letters of support and the late letter received from the councillor supporting the staff report. So please give us your 5 minutes presentation because we have some more speaker around here. Yeah, he said.
Right, thank you
Mr.
for that.
Chair,
so,
excuse me, hold 1 second. Is it here or not here?
Mr. Chair, the fellow by the name of John Wyman is actually the property owner. Our internal list is inaccurate with regards to what they are.
Okay, yeah. So there is no other one.
Correct.
It said area residence. Thank you for. Okay, so we, yeah. So since you're there, could you give us please a presentation and cover those, if you're okay with the staff report with all those list of conditions?
certainly. So thank you, members of the committee, for the opportunity to speak. So this is with respect to this site on the north side of Eglinton, just 1 block west from the future Fairbank LRT station. It's proposed to redevelop the property as a mid-rise rental building with 4 small-scale retail spaces at grade. The building will have a height of 8 stories, plus a mechanical penthouse and rooftop amenity space, which counts as the 9th story. 10 of the new units will replace the existing rental units on the site that need to be demolished as part of the application. But this forms part of a separate but related approvals process, but you'll see all the related conditions in the list presented from city planning staff. You could just scroll down perhaps to the rendering if that's helpful. I want to emphasize that the applicant has worked very closely with city staff on the application, as well as the related site plan control application. The proposal is very much in keeping with the zoning regulations coming out of the Eglinton Connects planning study and contributes to the vision of Eglinton Avenue developing as a mixed-use mid-rise corridor in anticipation of the Crosstown LRT. As you identified at the outset, both planning and transportation staff are in support of the application, and my client agrees to all of the conditions identified within the planning report. In addition to the details with the rental replacement units, this also includes implementing the Eglinton Connect streetscape plan, contributing to new bike share stations, and providing a cash contribution to implement the outcomes of the ongoing Little Jamaica initiative. I'm glad to hear you also received the letter of support filed by the councillor yesterday.
Yeah.
Just a few things to note before opening it up to any questions. I do just want to emphasize that the building height generally has a height of 8 stories and 25.5 meters, which is what is set out in the bylaw. However, there is this rooftop amenity space, which counts as a story and contributes to the overall metric height. So that's the reason for the variances there. With respect to the very angular plane, and this image is actually helpful that it's up, only the lands to the west of the site are zoned residential and require an angular plane, and the building terrace is in response to this condition. It's just when a conical angular plane is applied to the residential properties, so essentially radiating from the corner, that this portion of the building encroaches. So staff are of the opinion that this encroachment is minor, but it is a bit of a unique condition. Lastly, with respect to parking, we've worked closely with transportation services at arriving at this rate that's appropriate given the proximity to future transit, the rental tenure of the building, and all the various transportation demand management measures being secured. The balance of the variances are more technical, so I'm happy to go through these, but they were also set out in detail in the letter that I filed in support of the application. So the proposal really will implement the vision that city planning staff set forward for Eglinton Avenue, offer small-scale retail opportunities, and introduce new rental housing units. So I respectfully request the committee approves this application.
Thank you. Yeah, there is a long list of conditions, and I have just one question for my curiosity. I don't think it needs for this decision. Just for my curiosity, these 10 tenants that you're relocating, are they relocating permanently, or you're relocating temporarily and bring them back when the building is built?
So the majority of the existing rental units on site are vacant, so there aren't tenants who would need to be relocated. But for those that are occupied, there will be a tenant assistance and relocation package put forward or agreed upon by the owner with the city, and that will include the opportunity to return to a brand new unit at similar rents, and it will be the same size unit, etc.
Yeah, that was my question. So they're allowed to come back. Okay. So,
yes, and there will be a final report on the rental housing application that is anticipated to go to community council once there has been a decision on the zoning.
Okay, so if the members make it conditional upon the staff report, so that will cover all that stuff, right?
That's right, subject to all the conditions that secured for as part of this approval.
Okay, members, the floor is yours. Any question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Just the explanations provided by the agent here today satisfies me in terms of anything that I had lingering in my mind for decision making. And so I'll make this a motion to approve this application, and I'll make it subject to the June 9th staff report and the conditions thereof, as well as the June 10th transportation report. There are conditions on there as well. And that's my motion. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Hunt is seconding it. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Your application unanimously approved, subject to the conditions of the staff and the transportation. Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone.
You're welcome. So that's the end of it. Could I have a motion to terminate, please? Mr. Hunt to terminate, second. Mr. Khan, seconding. We terminated at 4:39. No, 4:40, yeah? 4:40. Thank you.
Good job, Isaac.
Oh, thank you. Well, because I have good members here, that's why.